The room of silence. The day everything changed. Jordan Carter never imagined that his life could break in a single moment. It was a rainy evening in Atlanta, 2026. The city lights reflected on wet roads as he drove home from work earlier than usual. His mind was tired, but his heart was peaceful. He thought about surprising his wife, Vanessa, with dinner from her favorite restaurant. Jordan had always believed his home was his safe place. He opened the front door quietly. The house was strangely silent. No music. No TV. No footsteps. "Vanessa," he called. No answer. He walked slowly toward the bedroom. Something felt wrong. His chest tightened as he pushed the door open. What he saw froze him. His father, Raymond Carter, was standing inside the room. Vanessa was there too. Jordan's mind refused to understand what his eyes were seeing. This can't be real," he whispered. It felt like a dream. A terrible dream he wished he could wake up from. Vanessa turned sharply. Her face went pale. Raymond looked shocked, like a man caught by fate. For a long moment, nobody spoke. The air felt heavy. Jordan's heart began to pound like a drum of war. Jordan stood at the doorway, unable to move. "Jordan." "I can explain," Vanessa said with trembling lips. Raymond stepped forward. "Son, listen." "Stop," Jordan shouted. His voice echoed through the room, louder than he expected. He felt something break inside him, not just trust, but his entire understanding of family. "You're my father," Jordan said slowly, his voice shaking. "And you're my wife." Vanessa began to cry. Raymond looked away. Jordan laughed bitterly. "So this is what loyalty looks like." He walked into the room slowly, like a man walking into fire. "How long has this been going on?" he asked. Vanessa shook her head. "It's not what you think." Jordan smiled sadly. "That's what everyone says when the truth is too ugly to face." He walked out of the room, grabbed his car keys, and left the house without looking back. That night, Atlanta felt colder than ever. Raymond Carter was not always a bad man. Years ago, he had been a respected community leader, a widower who raised Jordan alone after Jordan's mother died. Raymond loved his son deeply, but loneliness had slowly changed him. When Jordan introduced Vanessa to the family, Raymond admired her kindness and beauty. At first, it was harmless conversations, then shared secrets, then emotional closeness. Raymond knew it was wrong. Vanessa knew it was wrong. But neither of them stopped it. And now, the truth had exploded. That night, Raymond sat alone in his living room, staring at old family photos. "I have destroyed my own son," he whispered. For the first time in his life, Raymond felt ashamed of himself. Vanessa was not evil. She was confused. She had married Jordan because she loved him. But marriage had brought loneliness. Jordan worked long hours. He was always tired. Raymond was always around. He listened. He talked. He understood her emotions. But when Jordan walked into that room, Vanessa realized she had crossed a line that could never be erased. She sat on the bed that night, crying until her eyes burned. "I've ruined everything," she whispered. But regret came too late. Jordan spent the night in his car by the river. He watched the city lights reflect on the water. His hands trembled. He thought about his childhood. His father teaching him how to ride a bike. His father attending his graduation. His father walking him down the aisle at his wedding. "How did we get here?" he asked himself. Tears rolled down his face. Jordan was not just hurt. He was broken. He realized something painful. Sometimes, the people who hurt you most are the ones you love the most. That night, Jordan made a decision. His life would never be the same again. The next morning, Jordan returned home. The house was quiet. Vanessa sat in the living room. Raymond stood by the window. They both looked nervous. Jordan walked in calmly. "I want the truth," he said. Vanessa opened her mouth to speak, but Raymond interrupted. "I will talk," Raymond said. Jordan looked at his father with eyes full of pain. Raymond took a deep breath. "I failed you as a father," he said, "and I will live with that shame forever." Jordan listened in silence. Vanessa cried quietly. The truth poured out like poison, and with every word, Jordan felt his heart harden. When Raymond finished speaking, Jordan stood up. "From today," he said slowly, "I am choosing myself." The room fell silent. Jordan stood in the living room, his hands clenched into fists. "I loved you both," he said quietly. "I trusted you more than anyone in this world." Vanessa tried to move closer. "Jordan, please." "Don't," he said sharply. She froze. Raymond lowered his head like a man carrying a heavy burden. "I am not shouting," Jordan continued, "because shouting won't change what you did. But understand this, something inside me died yesterday." The words hit harder than screams. Vanessa collapsed into the couch, crying uncontrollably. Raymond felt his chest tighten. He wanted to speak, but words refused to come. Jordan picked up his bag. "I'm leaving," he said. Vanessa looked up in shock. "Leaving? Where will you go?" Jordan looked at her for a long moment. "Anywhere that doesn't feel like betrayal." He walked out. The door closed softly behind him, but the sound felt like thunder. News travels fast in every community. Within days, whispers spread through the neighborhood. "Did you hear about the Carters? They say something terrible happened in that house." People talked, guessed, exaggerated. Raymond stopped going to church. Vanessa avoided friends. The house that once felt warm now felt cursed. One evening, Raymond sat alone in his car outside the house. He stared at the steering wheel. "I ruined my son's life," he murmured. For the first time, Raymond realized something terrifying. Some mistakes cannot be undone. Jordan stayed with his best friend, Daniel Brooks. Daniel was shocked when he heard the truth. "Man, that's insane," Daniel said, pacing the room. "Your own father? Your wife?" Jordan sat quietly, staring at the wall. "I feel like my whole life was a lie," he said. Daniel sat beside him. "You're not alone," Daniel said softly. "And this will not destroy you. It will either break you or build you." Jordan looked at him. For the first time since the incident, he felt a small spark of hope. Across the city, a woman named Aisha Monroe watched Jordan from a distance. Aisha was a lawyer, strong, calm, intelligent. She had known Jordan years ago through mutual friends. When she heard rumors about his family scandal, she didn't believe them. Until she saw Jordan one afternoon at a cafe. He looked different. Broken. Older. Aisha hesitated, then walked toward him. "Jordan Carter?" she asked. He looked up slowly. "Aisha," he said, surprised. Life was about to change again. Vanessa sat alone in the bedroom one night. The bed felt cold. Jordan's side was empty. She held his pillow and cried. "I never meant to hurt him," she whispered. But deep inside, she knew the truth. Loneliness was not an excuse. Weakness was not an excuse. She had destroyed her marriage with her own hands. And now, she was about to face the consequences. Raymond lost more than his son. He lost respect. Friends stopped calling. Church members avoided him. One day, he overheard two men talking at a grocery store. "That's the man," one whispered. "The one who betrayed his own son." Raymond walked out of the store without buying anything. That night, he sat in the dark. He remembered Jordan as a little boy. "Dad, you're my hero," young Jordan had once said. Raymond buried his face in his hands. Heroes can fall. And when they fall, the damage is devastating. Weeks passed. Jordan slowly began to rebuild his life. He returned to work. He started going to the gym. He stopped answering Vanessa's calls. One evening, Aisha invited him for coffee. "You don't have to carry everything alone," she said. Jordan looked at her. I don't know how to trust anyone anymore, he admitted. Aisha smiled gently. Trust is not given easily, she said. It's rebuilt slowly. Jordan felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. One morning, Vanessa received an envelope. Her hands shook as she opened it. Inside were divorce papers. Her heart dropped. Jordan's signature was already there. She fell to her knees. This is real, she whispered. The dream was over. The consequences had arrived. When Raymond heard about the divorce, he drove to Daniel's house. He wanted to see his son. Daniel opened the door. Jordan doesn't want to see you, Daniel said firmly. Raymond felt his chest tighten. Please, he said. Just tell him I came. Daniel closed the door slowly. Raymond stood there alone. And for the first time, he realized something painful. Losing a wife is painful. But losing a son is unbearable. Late one evening, Jordan was alone in his apartment. The city outside his window glowed with quiet lights. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. Jordan, it's your mother's sister, Aunt Rebecca. Jordan froze. He hadn't heard that voice in years. What do you want? He asked calmly. Rebecca sighed. I heard what happened, she said softly. And I think it's time you knew the truth about your father. Jordan's heart skipped. What truth? He asked. There was silence on the line. Then Rebecca said words that changed everything. Raymond was not always the man you thought he was. The next day, Jordan met Aunt Rebecca at a quiet park. She looked older, tired, and serious. I didn't want to tell you this before, she said, staring at the trees. Because your mother begged me to keep quiet. Jordan felt uneasy. Tell me, he said. Rebecca took a deep breath. Before your mother died, your father had an affair, she said. Jordan felt like the ground beneath him shifted. With who? He asked. Rebecca looked at him slowly. With your mother's best friend. Jordan's hands trembled. So he betrayed her too, he whispered. Rebecca nodded. Your mother forgave him, she said. But she never fully healed. Jordan felt anger rising inside him like fire. So this is who he really is, he murmured. For the first time, Jordan realized that betrayal was not new in his father's life. It was a pattern. That evening, Jordan sat alone, thinking. He remembered Raymond's words. I failed you as a father. Now he understood. Raymond had failed not once, but many times. Jordan suddenly felt less confused. Some people don't suddenly change. They only reveal who they truly are. Meanwhile, Vanessa sat in her car outside Jordan's apartment. She had followed him. She watched him through the window. I still love him, she whispered. But love was no longer enough. 2 months later, the divorce case began. The courtroom was cold and quiet. Jordan sat beside his lawyer. Vanessa sat on the other side. Raymond sat at the back. He looked older, weaker. The judge entered. Vanessa's lawyer spoke first. My client admits mistakes, he said. But this marriage did not fail because of one person alone. Jordan felt anger rise. Aisha sat beside him, not as his girlfriend, but as legal support and friend. She whispered, Stay calm. Truth always survives noise. Jordan nodded. The battle had begun. Vanessa stood to testify. Her voice trembled. I never planned to hurt my husband, she said. I felt lonely, abandoned emotionally. I made a terrible mistake. Jordan listened silently. The courtroom watched him. When it was Jordan's turn, he stood slowly. My wife says she was lonely, he said calmly. But loneliness is not permission to destroy a family. The room went silent. Raymond lowered his head. Jordan continued. I lost not just my wife, he said. I lost my father on the same day. Vanessa began to cry. The judge looked serious. Everyone knew this case was not just about divorce. It was about betrayal. After the court session, Raymond tried to talk to Jordan. "Son," he said quietly. Jordan stopped walking, but he did not turn around. "I don't hate you," Jordan said, "but I don't know how to call you my father anymore." Raymond felt his heart break. Jordan walked away. Raymond stood there like a man who had lost his identity. That night, Raymond collapsed in his house. He was rushed to the hospital. For the first time, Jordan heard the news and felt nothing. Not anger. Not love. Only emptiness. Aisha visited Jordan at his apartment. "You heard about your father?" she asked gently. Jordan nodded. "Are you going to see him?" she asked. Jordan looked out the window. "I don't know," he said quietly. Aisha sat beside him. "Sometimes," she said softly, "forgiving someone is not about them. It's about freeing yourself." Jordan remained silent, but deep inside, something was changing. The story was far from over.